Hello, my name is Daniel Whitfield, and today I will be doing my informative speech over Black representation in comics. Now, to start off with, I want to get a misconception or possible misconception out of the way, and that is that Black Panther, otherwise known as T'Challa, wasn't actually the first Black comic book character. He debuted in 1966, and as I'll show, this is way later on than the character that I found first, which is Lothar. This is the first main Black comic character that I've seen in my research, so I'll just go over and talk about him. So Lothar was from Mandrake the Magician by Lee Falk. He debuted in a 1934 comic strip, which is a couple decades before the Black Panther will eventually show up. He was the main sidekick to Mandrake, but it was more of a servant role because of how the times were at the time. He was introduced as an illiterate strongman draped in animal prints and was stated to be one of the strongest in the series. And he ended up giving up his kinghood to help Drake out on his adventures. Representation during the early to mid 1900s. Uh, During this time, Black characters were racially insensitive at best. It wasn't really any, I guess, fair representation back then. And at worst, you would see caricatures like the one on the right in the picture here with the massive lips. Now, there are some pretty big, well, this is the big change that happened, and it was in 1956. This was the turning point for how Black people would be represented in comic books in the future. The source of contention here was a comic made by William Gaines, where a Black man was in a position of power, and it discussed the backwards nature of racism. So in the comic, there is an astronaut that travels to a planet, and on the planet there's a species of aliens, but they're separated. They're physically identical except for the fact that they're different colors, and because of this, they have a whole class system, and they treat the other ones worse just because of the color of their skin. At the end of the comic, it is revealed that the astronaut was indeed a Black man, and this is what really sparked all of the controversy. Yep. So this sparked the debate into the comic community over which way people of color should be represented, and it ended up in favor of a more fair system of representation. So we have revisions of representation. During the 1960s, changes were made to the designs of previous characters like Lothar. So instead of him being the giant brute and the leopard print and short shorts, he became uh, like full English, same as the main character, and he's wearing a suit just like him, instead of being illiterate as he was when he was first introduced. As well as that, additional characters were made with these new changes in place, like the Black Panther. Leaps and bounds were made for how colored people were displayed in comics due to this event in 1956. So, in recent times, Black representation is at the best it's ever been. Comic book characters like Black Panther and Black Manta have been in prominent roles in big budget motion pictures like Black Panther and Aquaman, respectively. New characters of color are taking the front pages like Miles Morales and Kiki and Riri Williams, excuse me. As it looks, Black representation will continue to positively expand. So here are a couple of my sources that I use to really get this PowerPoint together. And they are Black Comics, Politics of Race and Representation, White Scripts on Black Superman, The Blacker the Ink, The Construction of Black Identity in Comics and Consequential Art, the Lothar Mandrake Wiki, and the Portrayal of Black People in Comics Wikipedia page. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed. See ya.